Test 1, 2, 3. This is sound check. What's your name? What's your name?
My name is Bobbie Stringer.
Okay.
And
today we have Bobbie Stringer for interview, and I'm going to ask him why he went to the Korean War. Why did you go to the Korean War?
well, first of all, I had to go into service to go to the Korean War. So my mother passed away, and things were pretty bad. All us kids really loved my mother. We had one of the best mothers in the world. I mean, she was unselfish. She was just a wonderful person. I'm not saying this because she's my mother, but she was. Everybody loved my mother. And she never asked for anything, but she gave a lot. So when my mother passed away, I decided to go into the service. And since my grandmother and grandfather, her name was Knitz, they from Germany, and they came here and they bought each of their kids a big farm. Well, ended up some of the kids thought they could do better, and they sold their farms, ended up without anything. Well, we won't talk about that anymore, but my mother passed away, and I decided to go into service. And I wanted to go to Germany, where my grandfolks are from. But the enlisted officer says, when you get where you're going, to Camp Stoneman, that's where you'll go, and then you'll have orders from there. You tell them you want to go to Germany. So I said, okay. So when I got enlisted, and we all went up there, and we standing out there with our civilian clothes on, and then we talked to the guy, and I said, I want to go to Germany. He said, oh, sure, no problem. Well, I completed my 8 weeks of basic training at Fort Ord, California. Then I could go home for a few days. And but it ended up, Germany was Japan right after World War II. So here I am. I landed in Yokohama after riding a troop ship for 14 days, I guess it was. And we finally seen land. Boy, it was a beautiful sight, land. Anyway, we're in Yokohama, Japan. So then, from there, they moved me to Tokyo at Roppongi. That was the Royal Japanese Marines base, but not no more. It was a big round concrete building with like 3 stories. And so anyway, that's where I was. So I'm a cavalry trooper. That's where they sent the 1st Cavalry Division. So they was there to occupy Japan. So we get to go down our leave and down see Tokyo and cruise Ginza Street. And I remember the first person I seen that was affected from the atomic bomb was this man. He was in bad shape, and somebody dropped an apple, and he run down that apple like a wounded dog. I mean, like a dog that was starved to death. So man, I couldn't believe it. Nobody takes care of those people that got wounded in from the atomic bomb. They just didn't pay no attention to them. So I thought, right, what a bunch of people. So anyway, we went to Fuji for training, and they had different stops. Like I think there was 21 stops before you get to the top of Mount Fuji. And I went, I didn't like to walk. We run and walk too much in the service, I mean in training. So I just went like 2 or 3 stops and turned around and came back. But we had our training there, and then we go back to Garrison, and then I hurt myself. I had to have a hernia operation, so they put me in the hospital, 49th General there in Tokyo. And this is what I think about the Red Cross. They came in one day after my operation and said, how would you boys like to go for a cruise in Yokohama Bay? And we said, yeah, we'd like that. And they said, we'll have lunch and all that, and we'll cruise around in the ship, in the boat. Okay. So we go out, and they passed out sandwiches. We was about 3 or 4 miles. The boat stopped, and they passed out us. You give us each sandwich. They say, now don't eat until we tell you. And then they filmed it. We started eating our sandwich, and they turned the boat around and headed toward Yokohama. And they said, that's all for today. So I told them when they come around for a donation for the Red Cross, you know what you can do with your donation, don't you? And if you don't, I'll tell you. So I have nothing, no more to do with Red Cross. And so we went back in the 49th General Hospital. And in the meantime, it was around 4th of July, and they had a big parade in Tokyo. And the first cab was, and then I seen it heard it on the radio, but I couldn't go because I was in the hospital. So when I came home, went back to Fuji, more training, go back to our base in Roppongi, and the Korean War broke out. And they showed pictures of the war where they wired guys' hands behind their back and shot them in the back of the head. And this is to get you ready for combat. And they call them gooks. So in our minds, they weren't really humans, they were gooks. So we were trained to kill them. So that's what we did. We went over to kill them. But we made a beach landing at Po Hang Dong. They just call it Hang Dong now, I think, or Po Hang. They call it Po Hang. They forgot the Dong. They Po Hang. If you go to Global Earth, that's what they call it now. It's not Po Hang Dong, it's Po Hang. Anyway, we made a beach landing. We got off the ship and they just bombed the hell out of that town. It was full of families and children and stuff, and there was no soldiers there. So we made a landing. They bombed Po Hang Dong when we made a beach landing. They thought the enemy was there, but there was no enemy. Yes, the ships blew the town Po Hang Dong. They destroyed the houses, but there was no enemy there on land. That's all they did was kill families and children and old people and young people and just ordinary people that live in a city. They just blew their homes apart. And so then we got on we got on trucks and they took us to they took us to this river. I'm trying to think of this river. Anyway, I can't think of the name right now, but out on a sandbar was 80 people that the North Koreans just cut her arm or leg off and let them bleed to death. That's how they killed them. It just got you really hating the North Koreans. Nagton River, that was the name of the river. So now the North Koreans are trying to push us off of the island, and so we ended up, this is apple country where we're at now, a lot of apples. But we got orders and we went to Daegu. That's the last town before you go in the water. So we were down there and the general said, we're going to die here. We are going to die here. So what happened is they made a beach landing at Incheon, Korea. And they cut the North Koreans off. And so then, same thing there. They bombed Incheon and they just killed all the people in the houses and there was no enemy there. But enemy retreated and they put us on trucks and we spearheaded to Seoul, Korea. And we stayed in an old wooden schoolhouse. There was no high rises there then. It was a wooden schoolhouse. And we slept there. And then they moved us across the border, across the 30th parallel. And there was the mountains made a kind of a horseshoe thing where the road went through, but the enemy was dug in with trenches on both sides, and when we went through, they opened fire, and the ditch along the road was only like 14 inches. And we couldn't get it completely covered, so they killed 40-some guys in first 10 seconds. So then they had an airstrike coming. So the airstrike coming and napalmed the trenches. So then we spearheaded on up to Pyongyang. We took Pyongyang. We captured the city. We don't know where in the hell the Marines are. They finally got there and we asked them where the hell they'd been. Anyway, we stayed in Pyongyang. And they had big wine vats, wooden wine vat with wine in it. Sure did taste good. It was really good wine. But everybody was getting drunk, so the general had a crew to go up and punch holes in these wine vats and hold hundreds of thousands of gallons. And when they emptied it, there was dead gooks in there. So the theory is if you want good wine, you got to put a gook in there. Anyway, the happy days were gone. They emptied into more wine. So then we got orders to move up toward the Chinese border, Unsong, something like that. And so we set up our motors, and there was a big ditch behind, a few farmhouses, and we went over there to see if we could get them to fix us something to eat. So we took our steel helmets, went over there, 2 of them, and they were very friendly, and we're way up now by the Chinese border, I want you to understand. And we didn't know their language, and then they didn't know our language, but we made hand gestures, and they were very friendly, and they liked to arm wrestle. That's what they like to do. But so we went back where our motors were, and then they delivered our 2 helmets full of food. One was cooked rice. The other one was vegetable, like a vegetable soup. It had lettuce or cabbage in it. And it had something that tastes like turnips in it. Anyway, it was a lot better than them sea rations we've been used to. So now we ate and we're full. So it was just about dark, well, about 4 o'clock, I guess, evening, and they issued us our winter clothes and our sleeping bags, down bags, sleeping bags. And the weather's starting to get just a little chilly now. So then we settled down. Some guys stayed up and shot the breeze. We had a different name for it then, but we'll say shot the breeze. That will sound a little better. And some went to sleep. And then about 9 o'clock, and we heard a bugle, 12 o'clock position. And then we heard it at 15 till 12. And then it stopped and went down to the 30 mark. And then it stopped and went to the quarter mark back to 12. And then these bugles just made a circle, like spokes and a wagon wheel. And we were the hub. And then everything got quiet. And it was quiet, and it was freaking us out. What the hell's going on here? And then all of a sudden, they lit up the sky with tracers, and they were shooting. And they closed the circle in. And we didn't have very much ammunition. We had just a few rounds of mortars. And we had plans that we was going back to Japan. That's what they told us, that the war was over. We drove the Koreans clear out of commission. But then that wasn't true. So anyway, almost everybody got killed. And then we ran out of ammunition completely, and the lieutenant, what's his name? Lieutenant Padoni says every man for himself. So 2 of us run for a ditch. I was with a guy, and he was about 6'6" or something. He jumped too high and he hit the ground dead. So I went and jumped on a tank. I thought the tank was going to take off, but it didn't move, and all these bullets were ricocheting off the tank, so I thought I'd better get off of it. And I heard screaming where they were killing the wounded, the guys that couldn't run. And so I got on my stomach, and I crawled as low as I could get through the brush, like sagebrush. And I got out of the perimeter by myself. I was by myself. And then I came upon running like hell, and then I was so tired I went to sleep. But early in the morning I started running again. And I was up on the side of this mountain with pine trees and a graveyard with big mounds of dirt all over and tall grass, dead grass. And I looked down and I seen these row of buildings, and had tanks and jeeps and all that stuff lined up. And so I went down there. I thought that was our outfit. Well, when I got down there wasn't a soul around. And so I seen a lot of K rations, so I filled my pockets full of K rations. and I looked up and I seen a bush move. Then I seen a lot of bushes moving. So I run like hell and I run back up to the graveyard. And when I looked back down, they were opening all the doors, but there wasn't nobody there. They just thought they were. That's why they didn't shoot me. They didn't want to wake anybody up. Because that's what Chinese do in the daytime. They go into buildings, I found this out later, and they sleep all over the floor and up in ravines and stuff where they can't be seen by aircraft. Anyway, I was up in this graveyard, and I seen a helicopter go over. I waved at it, and it came down with about 20 feet from me. I thought he was going to give me a lift, but he took off. He left me there. And I thought, why did he leave? And then I got thinking, he seen North Koreans coming up here after me. So I ran like hell through the trees. And evening came, and I sat down beside the pine trees and went through like a valley. And I went over to the next row of little mountains covered with trees. So I got up there. Enough for today?
Yeah, if you want.
Well, if I had my airplane, we'd go flying today and fly out over the ocean, fly along and chase seagulls. That's a fun thing to do.
Okay.